What's up? Thanks everyone for tuning back into Schraub Stories. I appreciate all the feedback on the little bio piece that Connor Eck did with James Giordano. It was a lot of fun to make. It was really cool to share my story, and I'm psyched that everyone liked it as much as I enjoyed making it. So it's been a lot of fun, and next week we're gonna have a new tech tips coming out on Monday, but now every Wednesday we want to be putting out stuff kind of like we did with the Andy Irons video on Monday the week prior. So this week we had a lot of comments saying that they want to see a goofy footed surfer. So I thought that'd be really cool to do because I'm a regular foot, so all of my videos are regular footed surfers, and we did Andy Irons, who's a regular foot as well. So I thought it'd be really cool to switch it up for all you goofy foots out there, so you guys can kind of get a fresh perspective on what's going on. So today we are going to be watching Bobby Martinez and picking him apart, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's dive right into it and get the ball rolling. So this first wave I really want to go over is one that he kind of just goes down the line. So you can see right here when he pops up, he's looking down the line. Look, he's looking down the line where he wants to be going. He's sizing up the wave, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And watch the nose of his board. So the nose of his board is pointing this way generally, right here. And then as he comes off the bottom, he pivots it a little bit to the left. And this is the same thing I was talking about with generating speed quickly and efficiently. It's that first little wiggle right when you pop up. That'll get you so much speed. And he jumps his way up to the top of the wave here. And he's going up the wave quickly with as little friction as possible to go back down the wave slower and generating more speed. Because when you go downhill, you generate more speed. It's case in point. Don't need to explain that. So he comes off the bottom, does a little hop up to the top of the wave, pivots, and now he's going back down. He's going to generate a lot of speed off of this. Look at his back arm. His back arm is steering the whole boat. It's steering everything. It keeps everything going. So another thing I want to point out is look at his hand. His hand, the entire wave is going to be flexed open like this. Might close it a couple times and get a little lax, but when he's turning or moving, his hand is open. If you watch any good surfer, all of them are going to be just like that. I don't know what it is, but it works. So this is kind of just like an example of generating speed. Look at how much braille is in the water right here. Like it's all the way up to his monster logo that's on the nose of his board. So that's pretty much the entire board is in the water, and he's getting a lot of drive out of it because that whole rail is sunk into the water, and there's water pushing back on the bottom of the board, and it's going to fling him up to the top of the wave. And the board that he's riding is the Bobby Martinez model from Channel Islands. It's called the Bobby Quad. It's a 4-fin, rounder outline in the nose, and then the tail's like a kind of a trippy, like swallow chop looking thing. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a rounder outline for mushier waves, kind of like what he's surfing here. Not to say that it doesn't work in firing waves too, because it does. But the whole time he's going up to the top of the wave to get his speed. See how he comes off the top, kind of looks like a snap, but the whole point is to get back up here so he can come back down and have a bunch of speed again. So he goes from the top to the mid face of the wave. He's not going to the bottom and losing all of his speed. He's staying right in the middle part of the wave. So, and then watch his shoulders as he does it. He rotates them every time just before the board's moving. See, he's over it again, like he's pointing this way with his front arm, back arm's twisted, like he would be going this way, but his board's facing down towards the beach. So then comes off the bottom, springs up, and then look, once again, facing this way, so his board's gonna be going down. See, same angle that his shoulders were. Now he's twisting it again to set up the next turn, or the next pump, I guess. The whole thing is just upper body rotation. Another thing I want to point out is look at his knees here. This knee is pretty straight, right? straight with his body, but this knee is bent and knocked inward just a little bit to get a little bit of extra leverage on the inside part of his foot here. It's going to really help him get a lot of speed. Note the hand. Wide open hand right here. So that's kind of the gist of generating speed quickly and efficiently. Now let's go on to the next one. This one, he hammers a bunch of turns. Wow. Foam climb. Another snap right there. Boom. It's ripping. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's go back a little bit to the beginning of this wave. Right here, look. He's eyeing up the wave before it even starts. He's looking down the line. He's gauging where this guy's at. He's gauging what the wave looks like when he's going to be going. So he's setting up and thinking about everything that he's about to be doing before it happens. So he pops up and watch this. See, remember how I talked about generating speed quickly and efficiently with that first little wiggle? Watch the nose of his board. So it's going. It's angled towards the beach right there. Watch this little wiggle. See that? He twists it just a little bit just to get that fin engaged, that rail engaged, get some board feel under his feet so he can see where he's at and how the wave is pushing back on him. Just that little wiggle. Doesn't need to be over exaggerated, just a little bit, and you'll really feel your fins kind of engage and everything get locked in and get you a little bit of speed, just a tiny bit. And then look, he swings his shoulders. See that back arm was swinging before he tilted on that heel side rail? Arms pointing down and his shoulders are open to the section, face looking where he wants to go, gauging where this guy's at. And he looks, he's slowly looking further and further up the wave. Now he's eyeing the section. And then note, look how much rail's in the water right here. Close to the Monster logo, further from that Channel Islands logo. Comes off the bottom. Look. The water is touching the Monster logo here. You can see his fins out. That means a lot of his rails engaged. Back knee knocked in, front knee a little straight. Crouched though. He's crouched down low, shoulders are open. This back hand is twisting up towards the top of the wave. So he's gonna put his board right about here in this lip, and he's just fixated on that with his head because that's where he's about to end up. And then watch, right about here as he's just transitioning onto his toe side rail, he's already swinging that front arm in towards the beach. So see how he's opening up? Everything's wide open, hands open, everything's open, and he's starting to transition in towards the beach. Look where he's looking. He's looking down to where he's gonna end up going. As he's transitioning onto his back foot, look at his back leg, angled inward. So most of his center of gravity is gonna be in this general area, right in here. You know, he's still pushing on that back foot, but most of his weight is centered over that middle part of the board, and he's twisting in towards the beach. Boom. Wide arms. Look at that. Super stable. So he's putting his board up in the lip. It's pointing this way, but his shoulders are telling it it's about to go this way after the turn. So watch what happens. See, his shoulders stayed in that same exact spot so that it's telling his board not to go past that point. See? It's never going to go past that point that his shoulders are telling it to go. Nice and crouched, low center of gravity, hands in the water so that he can help with his stability, helps a ton. And then comes out of the turn, and then watch. Look, head, right back into where he wants to go next, already on his heel side rail because he doesn't want to end up in the flats over here. He wants to continue going down the line. So look, back arm swings up around. He does that same little pivot thing again. Right there. See, like came off his heel side rail and then he flattens out. He flattens his board out so it trims over the water line for a second to get him further out into the flats so he can continue his bottom turn. And notice from the last clip, he was pumping up here, but when he's doing turns, he's bottom turning down here. So look, back arm swings around and that's what propels the board to come around. Now watch this. This is that foam climb snap. Look at, there's a lot less board in the water here. So he's pushing more on his back foot to lift his nose up out of the water right here. but he's looking up at this lip, and he's gonna swing himself around, and watch. So it never even gets close to the monster logo, the water line right here. So there's way less board in the water, and he's trusting mostly his fins here. You can see his fins not popped out of the water like it was last time. Last time he was trusting more of his rail. This time he's trusting more of his fin. So he's gonna pop out. Look, water lines coming up towards the Channel Islands logo. You can really tell he's pushing on that back foot to lift that nose up out of the water, and he hops up. Like if you ever have been on a wave and you push down really hard on your back foot, you can feel it kind of like pop you out a little bit. So that's exactly what he's doing out of his bottom turn. He's popping himself up towards the lip, and then he really puts a lot of weight on his front foot, because you got to figure the wave's breaking and it's going towards you and you're going towards it. So you got to like push into it with force. Otherwise it's just going to steamroll you and you're going to fall. So he pushes into it and breaks that lip down and gets a good pivot out of it. And the only reason he did that turn was, if you're in a contest, you're going to get a better score because you did an extra maneuver, whatever. But mostly to get around that section so that he can get set up for this next turn. Watch what happens. Look at how crouched and low he is right here. Then he comes, swings that back arm right there. See how he swung it out? And then look, he's gonna go straight into his heel side rail. He continues that rotation with that back arm, pointing his front arm up towards the face of the wave there. Look at how much rail's engaged this time. Much more than the last turn. Kind of pops out a little bit because it looks like he hit a little bump. But look, back to engaged again. Comes off the bottom, twisting his shoulders the whole time into the rotation. And look, he lifts up a lot here, so that he can get most of that inside rail out of the water, so that he can pivot it up towards the lip. So if you have more water or more board in the water, it's going to be really hard to get it up to that short lip line when the wave's not that tall. So he lifts it out of the water a little bit so he can just go and pivot it. Watch. See how he pivots it, and then his shoulders rotate in because he's about to be turning back in towards the beach. That's how you do a proper 12 o'clock snap. And you push down on your front foot right here when you get up into this lip line. And then he pivots it around. Shoulders never went too far back because his nose, he knows that he needs to go down, not back. So pivots it around. Look at, this is a fun thing. Every time I do a backhand snap, I do this as well. Front hand is on the deck of his board. So much control, so much stability out of that. It's insane. Try it next time. And then it's straight into the next. Boom. Whoa, sorry for the lag there. My computer's kind of tweaking out. There's a lot going on. Boom. And then it says frames have been dropped. So these are cool right here. These little wiggles. Man. See how he's always rotating his shoulders, telling his board what to do? That's like key right there. Spin your shoulders so that you can get your board to come around and follow you. So that was a good example of a powerful turning wave. Now let's go to some bigger stuff and get him on the front hand. So notice right here, his back hand's in the water, and look at all this rail that's engaged. It's because it's a bigger wave, so he's able to have more time to go into these carves. So he has so much rail engaged that his back fin's actually out of the water, hands touching the water. He's crouched down low, and he's low to the water line. So he's really on rail and really pushing hard, and notice he's down here at the bottom, the like bottom third of the wave doing this bottom turn so that he has enough time to come up into this lip. And he's eyeing this lip line this entire time right here. And then boom, he hits it. And see how there's this little rib? It's like kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see it. And then this part's a little bit angled out to sea. So he really wants to stay on the inside of this lip line. Watch. That's right where he hits it, right on that little lip line. That's the edge of the wave. And see, he's turning his head in towards the beach before his board's even there. Back arms coming around so that he can swing his board through the turn. And he really wants to get back to this foam power source. So watch what happens. When he comes around from the turn, he lifts up his board, just like he did on that foam climb. And then he pivots and turns the board towards the foam ball. So the foam ball hit the bottom of his board and propel him out into the flats. So he hits that foam ball. See, his board kind of bounces off the foam there, right in here. And then look, he's already setting up his next turn. He's thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna go into this next turn. Same thing, crouch low, lot of rail engaged right here. It's like at the monster logo. Comes off the bottom, look at all that rail, that's insane. And he's eyeing this next section and he's gonna hammer this thing. Right there. Look at front hand super expanded, like open, flexed open. And then back arms coming around, front leg straight, back knee bent in. Watch, I'll show you as he comes around. See how it's bent in and the front leg's more straight? That's pushing the front of the board away and keeping the back of the board close, so you have that leverage later. Watch, when he comes around this turn, he'll slowly start to press into that as the board comes around. You don't want to do it too early. So see, look, now the front knee is starting to get more bent, back knee is more straight, and then he crouches into it as he comes around the turn because he doesn't want his board to get too far away from him and then it just keeps going further away. He wants to bring it up to him so he can finish that turn powerfully. Now what else he's doing is he's going from on rail right here. See how his board's really vertical? As he comes through this turn, he's gonna push more onto his toes to kind of flatten out that rail line. And he actually submerged his whole board right here. Like you can see the water coming over the front part of his board. And then he brings it around, brings it nice and close to him, and he's using his body to like skip across the face of the wave to kind of keep him afloat. And then once again, as he comes back into the foam, he transitions onto his toes so that the foam ball hit the bottom of his board, propel him back out into the wave. And this is just a insane tube clip at an undisclosed location. Once again, another insane tube clip. Look at how he's using, like, he's bent knees, crouched down low, both hands in the water. He's using the back one to slow him down and the front one to stabilize him a little bit and also slow him down just a little bit. I guess it would be this way because he's goofy foot. But, and then look, stands up in the tube, a couple little pumps to get him through it, and that's kind of it. This is a cool turn. We'll pick this one apart just to kind of end things off. So, shoulder rotation, everything, see? Same thing. Front arm low, shoulder, arm coming around. And notice he never brings his arms over his body like this. He's always like at most at his shoulder level. It's really important. You don't want to be flailing your arms super high. That's something Joel Tudor talks about a lot, is like keep your shoulders low. He's a longboarder, but still really good style. So look, back knee bent, front leg extended. As he comes around, he's gonna really push, angle his board more vertically, and then watch, as he comes through this turn, he starts to push his toes down, he brings this front knee into his chest and really expands this back knee right here so that he can push his tail out and he's going to get a little drift out of it. And look, his front hand's in the water, you can see it touching the water right here, it's been touching for a little while. As he comes around, he flattens that board out, just like a skimboarder does. When they skim out to a wave, they put their board sideways and they skim. They get a lot more planing and surface area to go over the top of the water. So then he slides it around, back, front knee very bent in, very low center of gravity, both hands in the water, so he's using them as a support system. Kind of like the Dogtown and Z-Boys when they do those slides with their arms back. Same exact thing, just on water. He slides his fins around, he really pushes into his heel on this rail on the inside over here. And he slides it into the wave, and there's the happy logo. So, I hope you guys like the Bobby Martinez breakdown. Bobby Martinez is a legend, and I love him. I love the way he surfs. He's a great dude. He's a great all-around person. I love what he stands for. I love what he's done for surfing, and yeah. Bobby Martinez is a legend. And one thing I really like to do is I'll get people like Andy Irons or Taj Burrow or Jerry Lopez, Mickey Dora, you name it. I'll screen record their video just like I'm doing right here. And then all of our computers and phones have mirroring features. So you can just mirror it and flip the footage, and it all of a sudden turns them into a regular foot or a goofy foot or whatever you want it to be. So that's a really cool way to kind of like study some people's surfing and make it more applicable to yourself. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning back in to another Shop Stories episode. We're gonna keep these coming. Monday next week, we're gonna be doing another Tech Tips with Uncle Kolty. It's gonna be super sick. Don't forget, Shop Stories training camps. If you want your footage broken down just like this, filmed by Connor, and in-depth analysis by myself, we can work on exactly what you want to work on, whether it's turning, airs, snaps, cutbacks, pumping, catching more waves, you name it, whatever you want to do, we can do it. Let's get it done. And yeah, hit the link in our bio, go over there, check out our website. We got opportunities to submit your footage. If you don't want to go on a whole training camp, you can just submit your footage, and then I'll review it and send it back to you. And we also do private coaching sessions as well. So we got a lot of options, and we're gonna have more camps coming up. We also are going to Nicaragua, so come to Nicaragua. It's gonna be super sick. And there's only a couple spots left, so get on it as soon as possible because it's filling up. So yeah, the Nicaragua trip's gonna have, housing, food paid for, transport to and from the airport once you're in Nicaragua. We're not going to buy your beer. You guys got to buy your own beer. But it's going to have all that food. We're going to have a private chef. There's opportunities to do ice baths, saunas, get massages. There's a bar right there on the beach. There's anything you want, any amenity you could ever think of, we can get it done. So there's a PGA level golf course. There's all kinds of different hikes, cool animals around. There's a lot to do. We're gonna have golf carts, so we're gonna be able to golf cart and rip around the community. The community is very private, gated security, 2 levels of security. There's 2 different gates. So it's a very safe place, and it's gonna be a very fun trip. And we're gonna be doing these video breakdowns for everybody on the trip. So it's gonna be really fun. But yeah, stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me what I did poorly, tell me what I did great, tell me what I should change. And sorry again about the video quality. I don't have YouTube Premium. One day I'm gonna get it so that I can download the footage for you guys. But for now, it is what it is. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And I'll catch you on Monday next week.